On this episode of the Wise Counsel Project, we continue our interview with Taylor Scott from Atlanta's 104.7 The Fish Morning Show. Join us as Taylor provides wise counsel to men and women of faith. You obviously have your pulse on what's happening out in the world right now. I'm prepping the news every day and talking to your listeners on air, off air, out at the event. What do you see as the biggest struggles facing women today?
Wow. I would say one of the biggest would be balance, because women have so much to juggle.
And how do you balance it then? What advice would you give them? What wise counsel would you say, look, this is what I'd recommend?
Yeah. Wow. See, it's tough, and I tread very lightly in that because I don't have children, and so I would never want to tell a mom this is how you should make it work when I haven't done it myself. But
how about balance though for the women that are just getting out there in the workforce that may not have kids, or the women that are out there that you may see burning too many candles out there?
I think it's really important to, before you take on anything new, to really think it through. And don't feel like you have to give that yes right there in front of the person. I know women get called on so many times, especially in the church. Will you teach Sunday school? Will you make a meal for this family? Will you teach this Wednesday night class? And those are all great things, but I don't think the yes should be the first thing on our lips. I think we should think it through and contemplate and realize, hey, that may not be the very best use of my time. I think we have a tendency in the Christian community to view a strong Christian is because I went on the missions trip, because you can tick it off on your to-do list. And I think it's so important to take a step back and know that I need to have that centeredness. I need to have my time with Christ. I need to love my family. And sometimes that's the best way you can be a great Christian. It doesn't necessarily have to be the look at me stuff. And I think I started falling into that way back in college. I mean, I remember thinking, ooh, if I just became a missionary, then God would really love me. And that's not necessarily the case. It's bloom where you're planted and whatever you end up doing. There's
a great book, Sky Justani, With. I don't know if you've ever read it.
No.
Talking about the disenchantment that so many people have now that get into the ministry thinking, well, that's what God was calling me. It's the only way I can serve God. And no, it's not. There's so many ways, like what you're doing here in the radio.
Yeah, I mean, an example would be my husband has a law degree. He's a member of the Florida Bar, and he's a certified financial planner. And for the longest time, he thought, well, maybe I should go work for International Justice Mission or Opportunity International and use my law degree for God.
Yeah.
And we hunted and hunted and hunted for a position for him. And do you know that every organization we approached came back and said, we need money. We've got the boots on the ground. We've got things going on in the countries or whatever the ministry is. We need financial resources. And we realized that, wow, by Glenn being a great financial planner and loving his clients and taking care of them, and then us choosing our lifestyle so that we can afford to give, was probably one of the best things we could possibly do, even though in our minds, no, we have to be part of that organization to be, quote, good Christians.
Right. What else besides balance? What other issues do you see facing women out there today?
I think self-esteem is a big one for women. We all love those little memes, and I saw one the other day, and it said, Lord, help me worry more about who I am than how I look. And you read that and you go, yeah. But as a woman, because of our culture and because appearance is given such an emphasis, it's so easy to slip back, and you start going, oh man, look, I got a new crow's feet right there, or I guess that'd be a crow's foot, and or I got a new gray hair, and I don't like the way I'm aging, or I don't like my weight, and it's easy to get obsessed with that. I think we all, as women, struggle with that every day because we're like, deep down we know that's fading. Appearance isn't going to last. But because of our society, the magazines and the TV shows and the commercials, it can rise back to the surface, and we always have to kind of check ourselves and go, okay, what's really important here? Am I eating healthy and exercising and taking care of my temple? And that's enough, and maybe we'll put some lipstick on and try to look good, but to make it the ultimate focus of our lives, I think is dangerous.
Well, my wife and I have 3 daughters. What advice can you give me, my wife, to tell these girls? It's not what is on the outside, it's what on the inside. What do you think is going to resonate with kids today to get them to take that advice in?
I think a couple things. One is don't place a lot of emphasis on outward appearance with your girls, but praise them for what they are. I know my parents tried really hard not to emphasize exterior, and they almost went a little bit too far. One time I came home and I had a couple of new outfits for school, and I put them on. I was like, "Daddy, what do you think?" And he said, "Come over here and let me see if they're huggable." And he thought he was doing the best job as a dad. Like, it doesn't matter. I just want to hug you. And I thought, oh, I'm so ugly. My dad can only see. So you have to find that balance as a dad. But I do think they need to hear from you. I think you have beautiful eyes, or I think your hair looks so pretty today, or that dress looks so good on you. I don't think there's anything wrong with a dad praising outward appearance with his daughters. And then I think also affection is really important, that they're getting those hugs and those kisses from dad, so they're not craving that touch from the wrong guy. And I also think that that dads need to prepare girls that guys aren't all bad. That's an ongoing argument Kevin and I have. He says he won't let his daughters.
Guys are all bad. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm
no,
upset with Kevin
not.
here.
But I really think, there's this tendency to joke, dads against daughters dating, DADD, and my daughters aren't dating till they're 40. And what I think parents have to remember are 2 things. One, there's lots of great parents out there that are working really hard to raise great guys, and they're out there, you just have to find them. And B, we don't want our girls to grow up afraid of men and thinking they're all bad, because, I know, thank God, my in-laws raised a great guy, and I was able to meet my husband Glenn at Wheaton, and he was a great guy from the start. He saved himself for me, and didn't treat girls disrespectfully and all that.
Well, the good guys are out there. We just pray that our daughters find them.
Right, exactly.
And that's a challenge, that's for sure. And I was telling Kevin, we pray for the guys that are out there now, that they are reared in a good Christian, family-loving environment, and pray they don't kill them when we start dating my daughters as well.
Exactly.
Let's say you could put Taylor in the time machine to go back right when you're starting radio and speak to the young women out there that are just starting business. What advice could you give them as they start their career?
Gosh, I would say as you're getting started in your career, work hard. It's so important, and I did, but I almost made it just like too much. Like, that was all I was focused on was, when I first started at the Fish, I was not only morning show and doing news and morning show, but I was also promotion instructor for 7 years. And for the first 7 years, it was minimum 12-hour days, plus events at night and on the weekends. And thank God I have a super loving, supportive husband that was right there for me. But gosh, I just almost burned myself out. And I don't think any career is worth that. I think you need to find balance. I wasn't exercising back then, and I gained a lot of weight. I wasn't taking care of myself like I should have. And I think you want to work hard and have a great career because it's so fulfilling, and that may be what God has for you, but you also have to make sure you don't make it the end-all, be-all.
We talked a little bit about what advice you think dads need to provide to daughters out there. What about now that you're a grown woman looking back, what advice can you give to moms out there that they need to instill in their daughters?
I would say...
and does it differ, dads to moms?
I think so. I think moms have the ability to model confidence for their daughters. And if they don't see that from their mom, they're going to look to other female role models for it. And if they can see a mom who loves God and loves the people in her life and doesn't let every little thing get to them, doesn't let the rude comment from the other lady at church or the other lady saying, you know, something about her hair that's not very complimentary. If she can see mom being resilient through those kind of things, I think she's going to have that in her own life almost more naturally. She won't even realize that mom gave her that gift. I think when we as women, I catch myself when I'm around my nieces and nephews, like, wait, don't say anything negative about your appearance, don't talk about getting old, just be yourself and be confident, because then they're going to model that themselves and feel that same confidence.
And that's a great point that you made. We don't have to be parents to kids. There's so many single moms out there raising young boys, young girls that can always use the advice and counsel and the loving support from the people around them.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think no matter who you are, if you're like me, you don't have your own children, but I have 11 nieces and nephews. I have 4 godchildren. Yeah, and you can be such a support to them, even though you're not you're not their blood relative, so to speak. I have adopted niece and nephew, and my godchildren. Obviously, I'm not blood related to them, but I got a text from my niece the other day. She's been going through some really tough things, an eating disorder and things like that, and I've just been trying to encourage her in a small way that I can as Aunt Taylor. And I got the best text the other day. She said, "Thank you for being so loving and such a support in my life. You're more like a sister or a friend than an aunt." And I was just like, oh. You know, it was just the best, because you realize, gosh, God can use me, even though I've never had my own child, or I don't know what that's like to be a mom, but I still can love on these kids and show them what it's like to be supportive and have unconditional love of Christ in your life.
And so many times it's not what we say, it's the fact that we're there. And we're just showing them through our presence. We care. It's the old adage, your actions speak so loud I can hardly hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
So that's a great thing to be there for our kids and other kids and other family members, just knowing what we care.